Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. The Enforcement Directorate's crackdown on Delhi former Minister Satyendar Jain has been a matter of heated political debate for the last few weeks. The agency is joining the dots and tracking down all of Jain's associates to unravel the web that they have accused Jain of. In that endeavor, the enforcement agency yesterday raided key associates of the Aam Aadmi Party Mantri and has stated that it recovered cash and gold from these associates. To be specific, 2.85 crore in cash, 1.8 kilograms in gold and 133 gold coins have been recovered, according to a press release issued by the Enforcement Directorate. And that's led to an all-out war with the Aam Aadmi Party, claiming it is nothing but a blatant attempt to frame the Delhi Minister and the Aam Aadmi Party. While the Enforcement Directorate in its Panchnama has claimed that 2.7 lakh currency was the only currency recovered from Satyendra Jain, and even that was not seized. The Aam Aadmi Party says, how did 2.7 lakh turn into 2.8 crore as being claimed now by the ED? In the ED's press release, the agency has said that the 2.7 lakh in cash was not seized by them. The Aam Aadmi Party has said that it proves the money is accounted for and not ill-gotten. Another claim in the ED Panchnama is that the search was conducted in a peaceful manner and recoveries were made. Aam Aadmi Party says that the agency is using a jeweler to frame Satyendra Jain, and that it is not a surprise that you would find some amount of gold at a jeweler's residence. That has set the stage for a political fireworks between the BJP and the Aam Aadmi Party. Listen in. Now, Satyendra Jain was arrested on the 30th of May. Ever since, the BJP, including senior cabinet ministers, have put Arvind Kejriwal on a probity test. Like Union Minister Smriti Irani, who posed 10 questions to the Chief Minister in a news conference recently while tagging him a Gaddar. Smriti Irani asked if Mr. Kejriwal was in the know about the alleged money laundering, if the Aam Aadmi Party did or did not regularize unauthorized colonies where Jain purchased land, and why Mr. Kejriwal was giving patronage to those who deceived the treasury. The Aam Aadmi Party, on the other hand, has stood steadfast behind its ministers, dismissing the entire case as completely fake. They're confident that there will not be a shred of evidence against the man who revolutionized the healthcare system in Delhi. And Arvind Kejriwal today actually refuted the Gaddar claim by demanding a Padma award for his minister. Ladies and gentlemen, you've heard all the charges. So I ask the legitimate question on the Newshour tonight. Can the ED gold seizure be proved in a court of law? That's the question, and that's the debate coming up on the other side.
You're watching the News Hour at 9. Debate number 1 on Times Now, Super Prime Time.
And taking on Gaurav Bhatia, national spokesperson of the BJP tonight, will be Atishi, MLA and spokesperson of the Aam Aadmi Party. Atishi, very clearly the press release of the Enforcement Directorate clearly points out that there are recoveries that have been made from associates. It doesn't say Satyendra Jain, but associates as well. And it mentions the names of Ankush Jain, Vaibhav Jain, Naveen Jain, Siddharth Jain, and also mentions a jeweler called Ram Prakash Jewelers. I want to ask you, the Aam Aadmi Party has refuted the claim that they don't even know the jewelers that have been named. Is it not true that Ankush Jain and Vaibhav Jain, against whom there was a case in 2019 in the Delhi High Court, both Ankush Jain and Vaibhav Jain have been stated, and they have been called as Benamis of Satyendra Jain, and these are the same people The Benamis of Satyendra Jain is mentioned right here, Benami Dar. And these entries and the capital premium belong to Mr. Satyendra Jain is what is stated in the Delhi High Court of New Delhi on the 21st of August 2019. And this is by Justice Murlidhar and Justice Talwant Singh that the order is given. Now, these are the same gentlemen, Ankush Jain and Vaibhav Jain, who are also with family members of Mr. Satyendra Jain, directors on several companies, and they also happen to be directors on this board of this company, which is the jewelers company. How can you say that there's nothing common between these associates when there is a trail that has been shown through various documents?
Navika, first of all, whoever these Ankush Jain, Vaibhav Jain, Naveen Jain, and who have unaccounted for wealth, who have unaccounted for gold, whichever agency has found this gold, whichever agency has found this wealth should file cases against them, should prosecute them and send them to jail if they had violated the law of the land. However, the liability of the unaccounted for wealth owned by anyone does not lie with Mr. Satyendra Jain. I have no idea since what time a press release has become a legal and an official document, or a tweet by the Enforcement Directorate has become a legal or an official document. The only official document that I have seen all day is the Panchnama or the seizure document by the Enforcement Directorate at the residence of Mr. Satyendra Jain. This Panchnama, this seizure document very clearly says that only 2,89,000 rupees in cash were found at the residence of Satyendra Jain and Poonam Jain, and this 2,89,000 has not been seized. Why would ED not seize it? Because this is accounted for wealth. So therefore, let us be clear that ED's own raid has shown that there was no unaccounted for wealth at Satyendra Jain's official residence or Satyendra Jain's private residence. Whoever has unaccounted for wealth, file cases against them, prosecute them, send them to jail, but stop this witch hunt of Satyendra Jain against him, whom you have been carrying out this case for 8 years. CBI is investigating for 8 years, Income Tax is investigating for 8 years, Enforcement Director is investigating for 8 years. In 2018, you summoned him 7-8 times, asked for all his documents, all his accounts, and then after that, total silence. All of a sudden, when Aam Aadmi Party starts expanding nationally, a case which was in cold storage is brought about, and all of a sudden, without new evidence, without new witnesses, Satyendra Jain needs to be arrested. Enforcement Directorate themselves say in court that Satyendra Jain is not an accused. There is no FIR against Satyendra Jain. The only reason for holding him in custody is to question them. Then is this not a witch hunt? It is very clear it is a political witch hunt by the Bharatiya Janata Party.
All right. Let me get Gaurav Bhatia to answer all of those charges made by Atishi ji.
Navika, first of all, Atishi said that press release is not a legal document. But a judgment given by Arvind Kejriwal saying that I acquit Satyendra Jain kattar imandar hai, Padma Bhushan do, is a legal document, Navika ji. It's a judgment of the court. अरविंद केजरीवाल जी के न्यायालय ने कह दिया, खाता ना बही, अरविंद केजरीवाल जी जो कहें वही सही. चलिए, ये तो एक बात हुई. But I will tell you a few facts that all viewers should know. A court of our country under the constitution, when Satyendra Jain was produced for corruption under the Money Laundering Act, decided to give a 10-day ED remand. Not a bail, but an ED remand for 10 days. So Arvind Kejriwal ji has faith in the court of the country. Second, In this very case, the press release says that 4.81 crore belonging to companies beneficially owned and controlled by Satyendar Kumar Jain, the ED had provisionally attached properties on 31st of March 2022. So now my first question to Atishi ji would be that why is it that Satyendar Jain did not get bail in the first place? Second, why did Satyendar Jain not move the High Court or the Supreme Court and get the case quashed because political vendetta is a valid ground? And third, is there any order she is armed with which says that this property that has been attached almost 2.5 months ago is illegal, therefore the ED did something wrong? The answer is no. My next point is about the dirty, cheap, petty politics that Arvind Kejriwal does. You know, two state governments of Aam Aadmi Party, one in Punjab, one in Delhi, two health ministers chosen by Arvind Kejriwal, two health ministers both arrested, on corruption charges, Navika, but one was sacked. Why is Satyendar Jain enjoying the political patronage? Why is he not being sacked is a question that the people of the country are asking. And let me just say one thing. We should have faith in the investigating agency क्योंकि ये कांग्रेस पार्टी की सरकार नहीं है. Now it is BJP government, zero tolerance for corruption, and the investigating agencies are doing their job. And my challenge to her is, show me one judgment of the Supreme Court or the High Court where the High Court or the Supreme Court has reprimanded the investigating agency, CBI,
well,
ED,
so let me ask Atishi ji. Atishi ji, the court has given a remand to the Enforcement Directorate. The fact is, in March itself this year, there was property that was confiscated, provisionally attached as the legal terminology goes. You're right. The Panchnama shows 2,079 lakh rupees and 200, which was not seized. You're right about that. But the fact is that the man is in jail. And I think the courts are seized of the matter. The second question is, there is a CBI charge sheet filed in 2017 or 2018, which exists. That hasn't been quashed. You haven't approached a higher court. The fact is that on this case, you haven't gone for bail to a higher court. Normally, people do that. And number three, you say that Satyendra Jain does not know Ankush and Vaibhav Jain. Do whatever you have to. Well, I want to ask you, how can you answer on the part of another individual, Mr. Satyendra Jain, whether he knows these people or not? Because common sense would tell us that if his wife is on some boards, 8 companies on directors' list on the board of same companies with these two gentlemen, they would be known to the family. That would be the normal conclusion people would come to. Can you deny that?
Okay, now I'll answer all of the questions and the points, even the points raised by Mr. Gaurav Bhatia. First of all, he said that he has faith in the investigating agencies. Even I have faith in the investigating agencies. I have faith in the fact that the BJP central government is manipulating its investigating agencies to do a witch hunt against Aam Aadmi Party, and that is the reason they have filed 54 cases against 54 Aam Aadmi Party MLAs. I have faith in the BJP central government's investigating agencies because I've seen the raids they have done at the office of Delhi Chief Minister, at the home of Delhi Chief Minister, at the home of Mr. Manish Sisodia, at the home of Mr. Kailash Gehlot, of how one of the investigating, how Delhi police went all the way to Ahmedabad, dragged an MLA back from there, later had no charges against him, was told off by the court of law, arrested another of our MLAs, Dinesh in the middle of a press conference. Again, charges had to be dropped because the court said that there is no evidence. In another matter recently, on which all of your channels had pronounced Satyendra Jain guilty regarding some PWD procurement, CBI has closed a 4-year-old case Why? Because no evidence. So yes, even I have faith in the central government's agencies that they are puppets in the hand of the Bharatiya Janata Party who is misusing them because they are scared of Aam Aadmi Party. Number one. Number two, you talk about property being seized. Whose property is that? It's not Satyendar Jain's property. If the property of some company is seized, let the investigation happen. If someone has unaccounted for wealth, whoever they may be, XYZ, investigate that, prosecute them, send them to jail. But on what basis are you alleging that it is Satyendra Jain who has been pronounced guilty? Because finally the judgment has been passed by Mr. Gaurav Bhatia. The judgment has been passed by all channels. You call them as aides. What is the link that has been shown that money has gone from X to Y to Z? What have these agencies, for 8 years, CBI has not been able to prove anything. For 8 years, Income Tax Department has not been able to prove anything. For 8 years, Enforcement Directorate is not able to prove anything. And then Enforcement Directorate says in court that no, Satyendra Jain is not an accused in this matter. There is no FIR against Satyendra Jain. They themselves say that. And yet, the court of Gaurav Bhatia, the court of Bharatiya Janata Party, the court of the press releases already says that Satyendra Jain is guilty. This is just a political witch hunt because Aam Aadmi Party is now growing all across the country.
Well, Gaurav Bhatia, sharp charges being made against you and your party and the investigation agencies. Respond to every charge made by Atishi.
Are not sharp, very frivolous, and they do not even warrant a response. In the court of law, they will not stand, and let me tell you why. First of all, what does the Enforcement Directorate say? I would like to read that from the press release because otherwise, you know, the proceeding is before the court. I am not privy to it. But why is Satyendar Jain responsible? One, as you rightly said, CBI registered a case in 2017, charge sheet filed in 2018. So let's do the counting. 8 years. Please ask her to be quiet. Navika, ask her to be quiet. They should show some decency and manners on your channel. They should show some manners and decency.
Her question, Gaurav Bhatia, maybe you can include that, is sharp, why are you using the press release as a legal document? So respond.
Yes. Navika, I will respond one by one. First of all, this is basic understanding that when a case is being investigated, not all details of the case and investigation and document and their veracity, their legality is presented by the ED. Only a gist is provided for the person to know that ED is doing this job and this is the reason. But the court looks into the legality, the court looks into the veracity, the evidential value of those. So I am only placing my arguments on the basis of the facts that are there. And what are the facts? The argument made is Satyendar Jain innocent hai, Satyendar Jain kahan se aaye? So I am just reading from the press release. It says, Directorate of Enforcement has conducted a search operation on 6th of June 2022. PMLA 2002 at the premises of Satyendar Kumar Jain / Poonam Jain and his accomplices and other persons, now this is important, who had either directly or indirectly assisted or participated in the processes of money laundering, and namely then all the companies. But there isn't enough time, so I'm not getting into it. Second, it clearly says during the search, various incriminating documents and digital records. Can she be quiet? Navika, this is very unfair. Very unfair, believe me. This is very you may give my time to her. I think she's on a very weak wicket. Please give her my time. Give her my time.
No, Gaurav Bhatia.
You know nothing about law, so don't argue with me and don't be.
She's asking that you're making all of these charges. Then you can't say that there isn't enough time. You can take time and you can prove the charges that are being made. But before I get to that, Atishi ji, the question will be that just a few days ago, Mr. Arvind Kejriwal.
Can I complete myself? No, Navika, this is unfair.
Okay.
Can I complete myself first, please?
Complete your point.
I think that would be fair on your part.
Yes. Please. All right, complete your point.
Yes. So, Navika, Navika, it is not Gaurav Bhatia, the spokesperson of the Bharatiya Janata Party, that has to prove anything. It is the ED, the lawyers within the court that have to prove the case. And that is why I'm saying the prima facie material before the court has a lot of value. And Satyendar Jain has been given on ED custody now for 10 days. Next point I want to ask her, Purnima Jain. Purnima Jain, I hope Satyendar Jain has not disowned Purnima Jain.
Poonam Jain.
Purnima Jain also
Jain.
is charge sheeted in the CBI case. Poonam Jain. Poonam Jain. I stand corrected. Poonam Jain. Poonam Jain is related to Satyendar Jain. Even she is charge sheeted in the CBI case. And plus, you know, even right now, her name has been mentioned. So all these pleas have to be taken in the court. And last but not the least, the Delhi High Court judgment. What does it say in the IT matter? It clearly says, and I'm just reading one line, it says that ye jo benami property hai na, they belong to Mr. Satyendar Kumar Jain. So there is a finding in place. He might not be a party, but there is a finding. Satyendar Kumar Jain owned the benami properties. There is enough material. The case should go on, and good luck to Arvind Kejriwal. I'm sure when Satyendar Jain will remain behind bars, maybe Arvind Kejriwal will also join him there.
Well, let's not get ahead of ourselves, but Atishi ji, right here in this Delhi High Court judgment by Justice Murlidhar and Justice Talwant Singh, it's clearly mentioned in point number 30 that the petitioners have themselves enclosed a copy of the order that has been passed by the Income Tax Department that the Benami Dar of this is Ankush and Vaibhav Jain, and all the accommodation entries in the garb of share capital premium in fact belong to Mr. Satyendra Jain. And this is in the inclusions, and it has dismissed the case of the disassociation by Ankush and Vaibhav Jain. So very clearly the Delhi High Court is convinced that there is a connection of the entries, financial entries that are being made by Vaibhav Jain and Ankush Jain are on account of money transactions that belong to Satyendar Kumar Jain. That's question number one. And number two, when Mr. Arvind Kejriwal just a few days ago actually lauded the Chief Minister of Punjab, Mr. Maan, that he expelled a minister who was convicted of wrongdoing and of corruption charges, why is the Aam Aadmi Party going out of its way to first claim they know or don't know individuals? Because that is a question only Mr. Satyendra Jain can answer. Does he know Vaibhav Jain or Ankush Jain? And are these people directors on 8 companies with his wife or not? And what transactions happened there? Why is the Aam Aadmi Party taking cudgels on his behalf? And why is the party not removing the minister? Because it's appropriate when the man is in jail.
Navika, first of all, Aam Aadmi Party is the only party that is not scared of taking action against its leaders when we find that they are corrupt. In the case of 2015, when Arvind Kejriwal expelled a minister from his cabinet, the evidence was not even public. The evidence was only available within the party and within the leadership of the party. In the case of Punjab, where a minister was expelled and the Punjab government themselves got the police to file a case against him, again the evidence was not public. It was not with the police, it was not with the media, but Aam Aadmi Party was not scared to take action against a corrupt leader and a corrupt minister. But Satyendra Jain is not corrupt. Satyendra Jain is honest. And that is the reason why, despite 8 years of investigation by CBI, by Enforcement Directorate, by Income Tax, they have not been able to find anything against him. And you mark my word that let this case go through. It might take short time, it might take a long time, but Satyendra Jain will be proved innocent. Satyendra Jain will come out honest, and the whole country will know the kind of witch hunt that the Modi government is doing, that the central government is doing, that it's using all its agencies against its political opponents because they are scared of how Aam Aadmi Party is growing throughout the country.
Well, Mr. Gaurav Bhatia, that's a charge that has been made by several opposition against your government. And that begins with West Bengal, Mamata Banerjee, her nephew. It begins with Mr. P. Chidambaram, his son, Sonia Gandhi, Rahul Gandhi, several people that Atishi mentioned from the Aam Aadmi Party. Why is it that there are hardly any convictions? Why is it that all of these cases are hanging fire, starting from Robert Vadra downwards to the latest case of Mr. Satyendar Jain? That's an allegation every political party has made against you.
Okay. So, to put it in two words, the charge is of political vendetta. And for the benefit of the viewers, let me say this, that the investigation, filing of the charge sheet till that time is the job of the investigating agency, and government also plays a supervisory role only. But after the charge sheet is filed and charges are framed, then it is for the judiciary to take up the case. It could be a day-to-day basis case, but because of the backlog, it takes time in deciding a trial. But I will give you an instance. P. Chidambaram, charge sheet has been filed by the CBI. Huda, ex-CM, Congress party charge sheet has been filed. Sonia Gandhi is out on bail. The matter has not been quashed by any court. Rahul Gandhi out on bail. Robert Vadra out on anticipatory bail. Now I challenge Atishi ji, when her turn comes, she should tell the viewers one Supreme Court or High Court judgment where the investigating agency, especially the CBI and ED, they have been reprimanded and the case has been quashed in case of a political leader being charged. Second, how is it that Atishi sits here and says that no, Satyendar Jain has done nothing wrong? Is she above the courts of the country? The court, in its wisdom, decided to not grant him bail and remand him in custody for 10 days. And third, she is ranting again and again at least 5 times on your program, 8 years, 8 saal, kya hua, 8 saal, 8 saal. Let me tell her with some facts. This case, FIR was registered on 24th of August 2017. 17 से गिनते हैं, ठीक है? 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. So 5.5 years approximately. तो ये 8 years कहाँ से आया? चार्ज शीट बीच में नहीं बोलिए, बीच में मत बोलिए मैडम, बीच में मत बोलिए, फिर बीच में बोल रही है। आपको प्रॉब्लम क्या है आतिशी जी? आप घबरा क्यों जाती है मैडम? आप घबराती क्यों हैं? आप घबराती क्यों हैं?
But Atishi, I want clarification on 2 points. One, you said the CBI case has been shut.
2018 में.
Exactly, and the case is shut by the CBI. That's not true. That's not true, Atishi ji, because there is a charge sheet by the CBI filed in 2018. And second question is that when you talk about these jewelers and no connection between Satyendar Jain, is it again a coincidence that the same people, Ankush Jain, Vaibhav Jain, who are part of the Delhi High Court order, part of boards of 8 companies where Mr. Jain's wife was there, or the position that he vacated when he came into public life, both of these people are there in each of these board positions and also in this jewelers company. And is that the reason why the Enforcement Directorate has called them people connected with Satyendar Jain? And it's a matter of investigation and proving in court. How can you give the clean chit?
You're talking about connections. Why doesn't the Enforcement Directorate investigate the case of Assam's Chief Minister Hemant Biswa Sharma, when RTI documents have shown that when he was a health minister, he gave tenders for PPE kits to companies belonging to his wife. RTI documents of that are out in the public, that there is a gross violation of any kind of rule of law. And why is it that the Enforcement Directorate does not take cognizance of the matter? How is it that Satyendar Jain, whose house is found with 2,79,000 rupees, as per the official documents of the ED puts out a press release and says crores of rupees were found. But when their own chief minister, RTI, has come out that Hemant Biswa Sarma gave tenders to companies that belong to his wife, that had never done any manufacturing.
Gaurav Bhatia, 30 seconds, respond to Atishi's charge. 30 seconds to you.
For PPE kits. Why? It is very clear it is a political witch hunt.
Take care. I will respond, please. First of all, I think Hemant ji, being a very honest chief minister, himself has responded. If my friend would have cared to read his tweet, not a rupee was ever paid to the company owned by Hemant ji's wife. That is my understanding. And second, he has also said that Aam Aadmi Party should be ready to face defamation. So Satyendar Jain, if he feels he's... Please, can I complete? Can I complete? I did not interrupt you. I don't know why you heckle. You think you become a very good speaker by heckling somebody?
That an order was
That's
given?
not the case.
So
my point... No, can she be quiet?
Are you denying
Navika, this
that
is
a work
disturbing.
order was
Believe
given
me. This is
to
not the way we
Hemant
argue,
Biswa Sharma's
please.
wife's company? Are you denying that?
Can she
Are you
be
denying
quiet?
that, Gaurav? Are you denying that a work order was given by Assam government to a company
this
that
is
is
shameless.
owned by
All right,
Hemant Biswa
Gaurav
Sharma's
Bhatia,
wife?
Gaurav
Why can you deny that?
Bhatia, I'm completely out of time on this debate, but Gaurav Bhatia, 10 seconds to you. You know, allegations, counter allegations can be made till the cows come home. The fact of the matter and the proof of the pudding will be when the case is proved in the court.
There is no counter allegation.
No, she made the counter allegation on Hemanta.
I remember the... Yes, that's okay. Right. So they will have to face the defamation case. Hemantji himself has said that. But let me make it very clear. Arvind Kejriwal's statement कि देश से गद्दारी है अगर कोई भ्रष्टाचारी है तो सबसे बड़ा कट्टर गद्दार अगर कोई है तो सत्येंद्र जैन है. And they have not got any relief from the court. That is what I believe in. I don't believe in what Atishi says or Arvind Kejriwal says. I believe
my
in
point.
what the court of the country
pudding
says.
is in the eating, and when this matter comes up before the courts on the 9th of June, because that's when the remand for Satyendra Jain ends, what will the court say? Can the case be proved in a court of law? Because that really is the real test of this entire investigation. The rest, as they say, is pure and simple politics. Thank you very much, Atishi ji and Gaurav Bhatia ji, for joining me on debate number 1. On the other